I'm a designer that works in motion graphics, visual narratives, design-driven narratives, and usually this is mostly for online content or for screen-based. I don't even know how to say. Motion designer. I'm a motion designer that works for mostly like design-driven narratives. I like to. I'm a designer that's moved towards three-dimensional design, so I'm very interested in kind of, if you think about like historically, like how designers have gained new tools, like the modernists took the photography, like the camera. I'm very interested in current technology of like three-dimensional space with rendering and being able to create realistic and fake environments that were unattainable historically unless you like built it and things like that. But now it's completely digital, fake, and you can make it as real as possible, and you just have the ability to make whatever you want as a designer. So, yeah. Get here, well, I think it's just kind of the practice of like motion graphics or motion design, where you're building worlds and building visual ideas for clients and such, and therefore the need arose to create dimensional space. You know, typically like three-dimensional programs and three-dimensional necessities came in, and as a designer I saw that as a really interesting new tool to explore, and I've always been really interested in space and depth and seeing how that could evolve, like the design language, and how a designer can communicate and make form and experiment and things like that. So that's kind of how it ended up being. So, yeah. I would have to say it's kind of it's probably Ed Fella's work and Elliot Earl's work back in the kind of like mid '90s. Those are like the two artists and designers that I really were kind of taken back by. I think I just love the madness, the kind of like newness of it. There's like this kind of no control to it but control, so like there was like this great kind of contrast of like opposites kind of colliding, and I think that was kind of compelling to me. And I love like typography and, you know, how you look at life, or like the things you look as a designer. Those things were just so kind of foreign to me and new, so it was really exciting at the time. So yeah. You know what, it's more of like the zeitgeist of it. It's more of like the spirit of different bodies of work that gets made. So I'm really into like this whole like real photoreal 3D that you can do on your computer at home by yourself. Well, you know what, I actually like, there is Zeitgeist. It's this Berlin-based kind of 3D design studio, which I've always found them being years ahead of everyone. So like I would say Zeitgeist and the Foam Studio. That's kind of who I find very inspiring. So. A typical day: wake up, feed my son, go for a walk with him, play with him, and then at 10 o'clock go to work, take the train, go to work. You know, depending on the project, we sit down, we talk to the art director, we start working on our project, and then work till lunch, get catered lunch, which is nice, and then go back and work, and if we have critique or meetings during the day, that's kind of what, and then go home. So, and then at night either do my own personal work, or right now I'm having to like get ready for a class, so just try to create like a body of personal work as well. So. Yes, I've taught, I haven't, as like a designer, like I've taught more of like design for motion and animation, and a lot of like, it's weird because like people want me to teach animation for design, but I'm not really an animator, so there's different things. But I'm really excited. This next semester I'm teaching at USC. I'm going to be teaching design fundamentals for animators, so that's a really interesting kind of new world. So I've been around animators, but I haven't really ever like been able to like help them think about how to think about design for an animator. So, I mean, I think design is really pushing into animation more as a necessity with UX and things like that. So it's interesting. What? What drive? What drives? You want the honest? Can I give you the honest answer? Really honest. I mean, of course, I like to give back, but also thinking about the future. I mean, it's a three-pronged thing. You know, of course, I love to like encourage and see young people think and mold themselves and become better makers. Another thing is it helps me learn new things or learn old things new again, and then just thinking about an exit strategy for being in advertising and such. It'd be nice to do that afterwards, because I feel like once you gain such a valuable kind of like tool chest and gold chest, or whatever you want to call it, metaphor, you can bring it back later. You know, if you have the right like classical like foundational like thinking of how they could learn it, it could help them in whatever zeitgeist they're in, visual zeitgeist. So yeah. It was, you know what, I got a sweet job or like freelance job afterwards, and it just kind of kept keeping me here, and then I got teaching jobs, and I think just the work kept me here, and then wife and family and things like that. So I've been very blessed in the sense that I'm, you know, a good job very close by and things like that. So things have really kind of worked in that sense. So yeah. The best things about LA, I think the diversity, and I think there's a lot of like contrasts that are colliding together, and in that collision I think the sparks happen, and it sheds light on many different ways of thinking or problems or good things as well. You know, the food is excellent here. I love the food here. As a visual culture, it's kind of like the smog. Like, it's really hard for me. Like, I know people like think LA has this really interesting like visual culture, but for me it's like this weird smog. And it might be nice to some people, it might be interesting, but I've found it very hard to kind of like find it interesting. I mean, I think like what I do, other kind of countries or other makers are doing it better, and I'm more attracted to that. Like, when I think about like a designer in 3D, it's like, you know, like the entertainment industry, or like, you know, it's very commercial based here. So I think that really hinders experimentation and being a little bit more kind of adventuresome in like the way they make work here. So I don't know. So for me, it is as I get older, especially at my work, I love working where I am, because they give us, unlike a lot of places that I've worked in LA, they actually give you time to experiment before you actually get into like the project, which is amazing, you know. So that is like, you know, it's a controlled experimentation. It's not like do whatever you want, but you know, as you get older, you're able to kind of think about like what you can do here. So doing that, and then also my own personal practice at night, just really like seeing all these new tools and ways of making that's never been available to people like me, or just like one person as a designer, you know, just doing that as well. And that informs my work and helps me during my day, and just, it's very enriching. So yeah. Currently, it's photoreal, graphic, it's fake. I try to make things that you could build by your hands, but it's all digital. It's very character based now, and it's weird. I don't know why I'm doing so many characters now, but I think it's part of the zeitgeist, especially in design, illustration, animation, culture. So, and then like kind of abstraction too. But it's like, it just gives you just like an amazing way to explore form in 3 dimensions. You get texture, you get lighting, materials, all this new kind of visual like materials that you could never do with 2D design. I mean, if you photograph it, but now it's like use certain lighting, you can add fog and just do these weird, crazy things that like you can never do before, unless you have like huge amounts of money, you know. So, but you can just do it on your little, you know, Cinema 40 with your Octane render and throw type and whatever, and you can do crazy stuff. Anyways, that's exciting to me. So, yeah. It's good and bad for you know, I mean, it's like the half glass, half full kind of thing. I think, I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at it. Like, if you want more variety, you know, a lot more people are making things, but then it's also, there's a lot more bad things, and the good things kind of stick out. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that people more making and such, but it is oversaturated too. So, it's a hard question. It could go for both. You could go either side. So, yep. You know what? It's probably gonna go up. It's probably gonna get more trafficy. Um, it's probably gonna become much more. How'd you say? Like diverse but segregated, I guess, in a way. I don't know if that's a good thing to say. Yeah, I think it's going to go up more, and I think it might become more of like a San Francisco in the sense of like, if you think about like design-wise, like the Silicon Beach, it's just kind of spreading out, you know, towards us. So, well, like on the east side here, but I really don't know what will happen to LA. Honestly, like, I hope it's good, you know. So. If that's what they really want, I would let them. I would also, yeah, why not? I really want them. I'm all about choice and free will. So like, if that's what they want to do, I would be excited for whatever they want, you know. So, and I would help them. You know, who knows like what will happen, but yeah.